With me for the prayer. Pray with me. Lord, we're grateful to be here this evening. We ask you to bless us and watch over us. We ask that you watch over our loved ones that we leave at home. We ask that you watch over everyone that's at home hurting. We ask that you bless our city and bless our community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. All right. So this is our work session. So first, our work session is one of our favorite parts is the pinning ceremony. So Chief, will you step forward? So this is a great time where we get to pass the badge along and pin it on our new chief. I will.
You didn't do it right. You didn't draw blood. You get one more.
So we're family oriented, so all the family better get up here for another picture.
Yeah, I want to get all the family too.
Come on, family. Rhonda, I need to do photographer. Please. Casey, step into the middle of the room. Step over. Make sure you're dead in the center, please.
I'm ancillary. I'm taking with those pictures.
Ain't you going to the very church?
I am.
I'm so sorry.
I know. Good.
You going to get some of the police officers?
We will have. All right, I think we have one more. I'm going to pass this out to you.
Trying to make sure I got counsel back there. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. We love it. Jerry, will you share those pictures with us?
She done called it.
All right, good, good, thank you.
One other thing. Robin,
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but because he's here, I wouldn't be here without him. Nobody would have given me the opportunity to do this. My career would not be where it is.
Robin, give him a salute. Be the daddy and give him a salute. Casey, it would be good for you to have a picture, a group picture of all of your officers for the office. We see y'all.
Good. Thanks, guys. Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna take about 10 minutes and go into executive session and then come back out and move down the road. Do we have a motion to go into executive session? A second? All those in favor? Very good.
out of executive session.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Man, I'll have this big package right here.
It's re-adopted of your retirement plan ordinance. So we made some revisions based on things that the board has done in a IRS ruling. I can't explain to you the tax implications.
Okay, let's add both of those under number 4.
Casey got his first grade.
What's it called?
It is
Highway, Georgia Governor, the highway out here.
You see that package too, on that front side.
All right, next thing, consideration of statewide mutual aid and assistance agreement.
All right, we have Miss Lynn here today, this evening, and her assistant, Melanie. Got it. And to go over this, she'll do a presentation on the screen, she'll tell you what all it is, that we're involved with, and what we're responsible to do. And if y'all have any questions or anything, please ask. And if she does a good enough job, and y'all need her to stay, please advise. Very good.
And thank y'all for having us.
Yes, ma'am.
We just wanted to go over a few things that I don't know that y'all are even aware that you are part of. So we're gonna make it short and sweet for you. And if you have any questions, please feel free.
Lynn, you have any media?
I do. This is probably all normal for y'all. Yeah, I know you. So if you'll push the slide, Melanie, thank you. So we're here today to talk about the mutual aid agreement, but there's several plans that emergency management is involved in that the cities are also a part of, and I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of run through them with y'all so that you are aware of what we do. So the first one we're going to go over is the statewide mutual aid agreement. Then we're going to do the local emergency operating plan, hazardous mitigation plan, emergency management preparedness, disaster match, and Web EOC. And I'm not going to go through all those plans, okay? We're just going to highlight them. So basically, the state mutual aid plan that y'all are looking at tonight to hopefully sign off on is the easiest way I can explain it is in Ware County, each year they have wildfires. And if you sign off on this mutual aid agreement, what that does is if Ware County calls and asks for assistance from the firefighters, you can get reimbursed for that. So you can send your firefighters down there if you'd like to. You don't have to, but it's when they just use up all their resources and they have no other personnel that they can put out there. And they call states.
That's when the governor creates.
Most of the time it's when the governor declares a state of emergency. But for Ware County, because they have those fires every year, it's pretty much an every year thing that they send out a call for firefighters because they just don't have enough personnel to fight them, because it's usually well over a month that they fight these fires. So if you sign off on this plan, it gives you the opportunity to get reimbursed from the state for any services, any amount of their wages, their benefits, anything that they may have, travel time, their mileage, any of that. You can write it off. If you send equipment, you can get reimbursed for that equipment as well. So that just makes you a part of just the statewide mutual aid. If the governor declares a state of emergency, then the resources are asked for, and in the plan it states that you do not have to send. If it's going to make you short in your department, then obviously you don't have to do it, but you can still participate in it.
So in reverse of that, like if we got hit with another hurricane, we could call somebody in South Georgia.
Yep.
And send folks up.
Yep.
And we get reimbursed from the state.
Yep, absolutely.
And Lynn, this is going through you, through GMA?
It will go through GMA, but what they normally ask to do is do the request through me. And what we do is we put it in Web EOC, and I've got that in here for y'all to look at. But we put the request in WebEOC, and that's just so the state can keep up with the resources that have been asked for. And then once they fulfill that request, then that goes into WebEOC so that they can keep up with who they're sending where. So just keep in mind, when it's a state declared emergency, all it does is open up resources that the state can provide, say like National Guard, forestry to come in and clear debris, anything of that nature. But when it's a presidential declaration, then it opens it up for resources that for the whole federal system, but it also, that's where you start getting your reimbursement very quickly. Okay. So, and we've got it in here too, and I'll go over it quickly for you so that we can talk about it if y'all need to, but it all ties together, and that's why I wanted to go over it with y'all. The local emergency operating plan, we update that quite often, and that is anytime we have, just like y'all did tonight, where you changed your police chief, we'll have to go in and update that plan to list that new police chief, new mayors, new city council, anything that we have to update. So it's a living document that we update quite often. And then the next thing is the hazardous mitigation plan. This is the one that you and I, Mr. Musselwhite, talked about when I met with you. That plan is every 5 years. We encourage all the cities to participate with that because that is where our grants come from. That's a 75-25 match. And when we got a grant to renew our plan, the plan that we currently have runs out this year, and our match on that is just our salaries. So when you participate in our meetings that we have to plan, then that salary match is what we have to use to pay for the grant. So there's no out-of-pocket money that has to go for that. The next thing we have is an EMPG grant. So that is where you can apply for the grants such as sirens, the generators. This building would be able to apply for a generator because it's considered a critical infrastructure. The police department, the fire department, things of that nature, water treatment plants, anything of that nature. It's a 75-25 match, and you can apply, and same way we did that one the other day, sir. And then there's disaster match on the federal declarations, like we were just talking about when it's a presidential declaration. Most of those are 75, 15, 10 match. And that means that most of the time we have matches that we automatically get 75%, but then GEMA gives us 10%, and then 15% is basically what we pay out with our salaries and everything that we do. But because Habersham has participated in all the programs that I gave y'all, we have dropped that 15% to 12.5. That don't sound like a lot, but if you are getting reimbursed millions of dollars, it kind of adds up a little bit. And then WebEOC is where we put in all of our resource requests and all. The cities have or should have a login to WebEOC. I'm showing them listed on the grant login and all. If you don't, if you'll get with me, I'll be more than happy to help y'all with that.
I'm looking for Megan, she walked out, so.
But I'll be happy to help you with that as well. But that's where we put in all the information when we have any kind of disaster, and we activate the EOC. We keep everything logged into WebEOC so that everybody throughout the state can see what's going on, not just in Habersham, but throughout the state. So just like I was talking about earlier with the wildfires, they're logged into WebEOC, and we can kind of keep up with how much is contained, what they need, that sort of thing. And that's a real good tool that we have. And that's very quickly gone over, but does anybody have any questions? Yeah, I told you, fast, quick and easy.
Mayor, one of the things that Lynn and I talked about last week is what we've talked about is the security plan, a plan of action in case of a disaster.
And you and I talked about that.
But in talking about that with Lynn, she is the contact. Police and fire, we would call Lynn, we would call Habersham Fire or Habersham Sheriff's Office. And then they're leading up to Lynn, and she's got her GMA folks, because GMA's, for the most part, that is their contact for Habersham County. So everything funnels up through Lynn in her office there. And then that takes it to the FEMA, that takes it to anything else to the governor's office. And of course, that is how that would work. And I discussed with our Chief Sherwood when he gets here, and Lynn, and he get to meet and go through with Melanie and that. And we'll have more follow-up with that. Very good. So, all right.
Is there any questions I can answer? I know I threw a lot at you at one time.
When was the last time this was done?
So that statewide mutual aid agreement is every 4 years.
And it's something the city signed off on?
Yes, the city signed off on it the last 4 years. Kim signed off on it, as well as the police chief, Robin, and Ken Rinaldi, that was the fire chief at that time, and the city clerk, I believe. And I have a copy of that. I think I left you a copy, but if not, I can email you a copy of it.
Right, probably say go ahead and send one to Megan, so that way she can disperse that one out, so they can look at the past. And the chief will be here to sign that, if we need to get it decided sooner, or he can decide it on Monday. So when are you needing this?
Well, it was due May 1st, so as quick as you can get it.
May 1st?
I mean, March 1st, I'm
Okay.
sorry, March 1st, yeah. But it's quick, I mean,
We'll go ahead and get that.
I've already sent in what I had to GMA, and they are aware that I was coming here tonight, and that it may be just a little bit late, and they were okay with that.
So maybe you can sign that one if we pass it tonight, that way Megan can get Robin, and Casey, and then send it down.
Very good. Any other questions?
I've attached my cards. If there's anything I can answer, please feel free to email me, contact me, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for all that.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, Miss.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Can you explain a little bit more about the water treatment plant infrastructure? What does that mean as far as reimbursement? We're having problems with water.
Well, okay, so it's not reimbursement until there's a disaster. So you can apply for grants to possibly fix a problem if you may have a problem with it, but it has to be one that is approved under the grant cycle. And you can go to the GMA website and look up grants, and it will show you what all is available to apply for.
All right. Casey, you want to come up and talk about your new grant?
Thank you.
Thank you. You're absolutely welcome. Thank you, Brad.
So we put in for a grant for the technology grant. Basically it's for computers, printers, anything technology wise goes into court. We've gotten a grant before. I put in for it last week. They called me Friday.
It's the first day on the job.
They're gonna give us $10,000. It is a reimbursement grant, so you have to vote to do it. And you'll get reimbursed. Full grant. 10,000.
So you will start, do you already have the items picked out?
No, I gotta get with IT and find out what computers would be best now.
Okay.
And what I'm planning to do is once the tag reader and replace those, because those, they're more than 8 newer systems. And if I can replace all of them, I will. How much they are.
You got the tag readers were installed 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really? Okay. They're working good. What vehicle were they? They're in, all the Explorers and one truck. 3 readers.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
And James got in his vehicle within 5 minutes. Had it on. Rubbed it.
Was it 4 per car or just one? No, it's two cameras per car. There are 4 systems.
All right, next is the GMA memo for retirement. You gonna read us this second? What's that? The whole thing, sure.
A lot of trees, a lot of trees.
They changed, and this is, they changed some terminology, they changed some, age limits, to be consistent with IRS rules. Apparently, the Gmail board, they make it main document. So,
How will this affect our employees today? And can we do anything about it?
can't do anything about it, unless you wanna change.
You'd have to move.
You'd have to change
Change.
the retirement plan. I don't, unless you've got folks who are wanting to, as a practical matter, unless you've got folks who want to, start getting retirement benefits while they continue to work, I don't think it's having any impact at all on current employees. Now, I mean, so it's,
We get a quarterly report that shows who's receiving the benefits and their company, stuff like that. So we get all that stuff. And you'll see some of those that the city does pay percentage into retirement.
Very good. All right, we just need to add that to the regular agenda.
yeah, it'll be a first read, that means.
First read. So we need to add, let's do new number 9 as the grant from Casey. And then on the regular session. And then add the, GMA retirement. Is number 10.
Grant there.
Number 9, after number 8. New number 9. Number 10.
So that's gonna be
That's right. New number 10.
after the manager report.
Before.
Okay, both together.
Yes, sir. All right, Thomas.
Yeah.
Next is the amendment of the alcohol beverage ordinance. This is a second reading.
Yes.
Are you prepared for that?
You all have it, I drafted that, y'all left.
Anybody have any questions on that?
This is if you do off premises, when you don't have any.
We set a date of March of 25 to review again.
Okay.
Yes. Because if they needed somebody today, they wouldn't have anybody.
Fair enough.
And, you know, people like Jamie and stuff, until he can have his building built, have the fire marshal sign off on it, you can't move forward until we're to that point.
And our famous number 6 here, Historic Preservation Commission. Can we just table this unless somebody wants to appoint? Somebody got someone? Okay. Jimmy, the historic district, you familiar with that? So under our current zoning, we have a historic district that requires a historic preservation committee that consists of an architect and a historian that lives within that same district. We don't have those people. So hopefully that's getting modified in our new zoning.
So I remember us talking about this before, we were like, we don't have any of these things.
Just Jimmy, they would hear a request from somebody first and make a decision, just like a rezoning would be, and that's what that committee would do.
So if I wanted to change my house color to purple,
That color working out for you.
I haven't done it yet. There's no committee for me to take it. All right, let's move on. Can we agree to table that for 6 months? Hopefully that's not gonna be. All right, that's it. Well, we got discussion of, you wanna talk about land use, Thomas?
I do, we had talked last fall about, this change and what that was gonna entail. And for some reason, we, for a variety of reasons, this concept of having some meetings of stakeholders and all just never got traction. We've never had any of those. We've got to get moving, because, I mean, the moratorium, I think, currently expires in April, so we're gonna wind up having to extend it to your meeting in April, unless we give some more time. My thought is, unless there's opposition, is to simply modify Haversham's UDC, to fit what we have here in the city. They've got Area 35. It's gonna take some work, and you're probably gonna have to involve the regional commission in that process, because you're gonna have a new map. So this is the problem, is that it's probably, if that's what you all wanna do, I need some direction as to what you all wanna do with this.
Didn't we contract with the company to do this?
You contracted with me, and so I was hoping that I would get some kind of community input, but there's not been, that hasn't happened, so we've got to get something in place, so and I'd indicated to you all 2 months ago that my default was gonna be to start with Haversham County. It's a known entity, a lot of the things are gonna develop here, and if your zoning ordinances are consistent with the counties, then there's some economies with doing that. Will there be some nuances and some specifics? Of course.
There is, and I wouldn't mind challenging the council to look at some of the other municipalities, and see about looking at some of theirs.
You got anybody, any city in particular?
I think Cornelius is pretty well suited.
Yeah, that's Commerce. All going to do the same thing, huh?
I don't know about Jefferson. Cornelia is kind of the base road in Haversham counties.
Well, I wouldn't mind putting it out for a week for the council to kind of go through and look at for opinions, because there's other classes and things that vastly different. So I think we just need to go through and study each one online.
Decision county.
You wanna have a public meeting, and let's go through it, all of us at one time, with Thomas.
It is fairly large.
I understand that we can just pick out,
You do need someone to study the whole agreement if I would do that.
and part of what we would do is when we do have this meeting, I would look upon the five of y'all to call some of landowners that don't come to our meetings. Property owners that may not live here, but they own land here, to reach out to the public so we can have some people show up that have skin in the game, so to speak, with, if we do need some folks' opinions out there, 'cause this is a big deal.
Those are the folks that are playing if they don't like it done. You're to invite them, if they want to show up, and say, you're invited, you go to something.
You know, Mr. Snappy, he keeps calling me, asking when we're having a meeting, because he's ready to come. Because he's affected by that back in 21.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a week to look.
Yeah, I think we all need to work on it.
I mean, we would like to look for a meeting the last week.
We'll put us towards our retreat.
True, but just to have a meeting even after our retreat so that we can go ahead and have it planned.
Yeah, sure.
Because we
After
can,
our retreat.
yes, that was what I meant, and so that we can have some of that discussion.
Okay.
Okay, so that way, we'll talk about your setting and what we want you to do from my point of view, because I met with Fletcher to go over that.
Okay.
Because you're coming for the whole day, right?
And what I can do is I can send y'all the meeting code links for both Haversham's and for Cornelia's, so all you all have to do is open your computer and click on.
Thank you, sir.
Like I'll do that tonight while I'm talking.
Next topic is city manager contract. This is just a renewal of the current contract for the city manager. So we will need to vote on that this evening. Any other further discussions for the work session?
Are those plans readily available in you, like the research
For
for like Cornelia?
that's what Tom is going to send us to.
There's a website called Unicode that has a number of codes from, I mean, you get them all over the
We
United
pay to have ours on there.
Yeah, Demorest is it's a pretty great resource. You can go in there if you want to look at some city, what they're that you like, you can get on there and look, see what they have.
It's searchable. It's not a particularly powerful search engine, but you can search it.
Or you can go to their website of each of the county
Right,
on there. Or
that's
citizen.
what I was wondering.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right. Okay, then what time?
5 minutes.
Right. Y'all pray with me. Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather here this evening. We ask that you watch over our decisions to glorify your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have a couple of modifications. Under number 8, we're going to add number 9, the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police grant, and a new number 10 as GMA retirement first reading. And that'll change the manager report number 11. And so do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, sir. Second. All those in favor? Very good. Next is appearance and public comments. Do we have anybody that'd like to speak? Please step to the podium. All right. Next is approval of the minutes. We have February 6th and February 15th. As always, I don't want to rush you, but after you review the minutes, please make your motion.
They're the same as were emailed out.
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Very good. Thanks, guys. Next is consideration of statewide mutual aid assistance agreement. This is what we just talked about. Ms. Lynn Smith. Does anybody have any questions? So yeah, there's a lot of great resources there. We need to make sure it's top of mind in case of emergencies.
We have one that's back there, and Chief Shearer and I have discussed it, and that's a program we've been working on.
Very good. All right. A lot of great opportunities in this. We need to make sure we utilize it. We need a motion to allow me to sign and enter into this statewide mutual assistance agreement.
One thing when I looked at this, guys, there's a lot of places to sign. So, Thomas, if you can look at that, I don't know who all, obviously we got.
I spoke with Lynn and she said it would be the mayor, city manager, and also, no, Casey, the city manager, myself,
And clean fire chief.
yes, and
Okay.
the
When
fire
you
chief.
look at these signature page, like on page 7 of 8, so just want to make sure that we're clear with this on who's signing what, in what position with Thomas.
So the motion needs to be made to allow Mark to sign as the CEO for the city.
I'll make a motion that we allow Mark to sign the state mutual aid and assistance agreement as the Demorest CEO.
A second? All those in favor? Very good. Next is consideration of the ordinance to amend the alcohol beverage ordinance. This is a second reading. Thomas, do you want to handle it?
Yes. This is something, it was, this was an ordinance that you all currently don't have, a restaurant or a licensee that can do off-premises sales, so this allows, someone who's properly licensed in another city in Habersham County, or in the county, to provide those services if they're needed here in the city. It's got a time limit of March of 2025. Hopefully there'll be, restaurants here in Demorest, because, previously you all had only allowed your own licensees to do this. But this is kind of a stopgap measure, so that, again, entities like the chamber, the university that need this service, can get it, legally.
Very good. And we're good to move forward with an adoption of this.
You are.
All right.
I have a question about that. We live in a university town where it's easy for kids to get fake IDs. And I wonder if it's a good idea just to open up alcohol sales here in the city at the restaurants.
This isn't about sales. This would be like an event at the university. This is not about restaurants.
Okay, well, I thought you said restaurants in the city.
All right, we're going to entertain a motion to move forward with an amendment of this alcohol beverage ordinance. We need a motion.
Make a motion to accept the amendment to the ordinance.
Thank you, sir. Second. Second. All those in favor, move forward. Very good. Thank you. Next is discussion of city manager contract. This is a renewal of the contract, making this effective on January 1st of every year. Thomas, do you have anything to add to this?
I don't. I've made the modifications. I've made the modifications that were discussed, and I'm emailing that to Megan, to you, and the manager here in a minute.
Very good. We just need a motion to accept the contract as amended by Thomas.
Make a motion to accept the contract as amended by Thomas.
A second? All those in favor to move forward with the city manager contract? Next is discussion of the grant. Chief, excuse me, you written a grant that allows for technology for $10,000 that you received. So you were asking us to spend the $10,000 and you'll get the $10,000 back, correct?
It's a reimbursement grant.
Very good. Thank you, sir. What are you gonna use that money on?
Computers, laptops in the car, printers, anything that technology wants in there.
Very good. So we need a motion to accept the grant and to allow, Chief. Yes, sir. And to allow the funding of $10,000 in technology.
When is your plan to have a list? How long do you think it's gonna take you?
I don't know next week. I'll get with
So it's something you think we're gonna have on the April meeting?
Can we go ahead and approve the expenditure of the $10,000 in technology to cover this?
We can do that.
Okay.
There is some specifications in the grant, you know, what type of computers, what memory they have. So I was gonna give IT and which one would be.
I just wanna make sure we will get it back to you fast enough
Yeah,
so that we can get this out there.
it can go all year. I just wanna I wanna get the computers as fast as I can.
Okay, of course. All right. So, a two-part motion, accept the grant and allow Casey to spend the $10,000 through the city manager.
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Very good. Nice job. Thank you. Next is the GMA retirement first read. Thomas, you want to handle this?
Yeah. You all have a employee retirement
benefits package that's provided by GMEPS, which stands for Georgia Municipal Employer. I can't remember what it's benefits something. It's provided through GMA, and the board has made some changes to the plan, and then due to some direction by the IRS, there were some additional changes to the plan. If you all are going to continue to maintain that particular benefit package, you don't really have any choice as to whether or not to readopt this plan. It has to be done as an ordinance, so it's just first read, so you all have the opportunity, if you choose to review the documents that you received today. Generally speaking, it's just making some terminology changes. It's making some slight changes to age limits for when benefits can first be obtained, and also making some changes to if you have employees who are continuing to work but also receiving retirement. That would apply to folks who, for the most part, are in their mid to late 60s or early 70s. Based on what I know, I don't think that there will be any immediate impact to any of our employees from the changes.
Thank you, sir. So first reading, no action tonight. Correct. All right, next is the manager's report. Mark, you have it.
In going through this, Lynn had discussed one of the options on there was applying for grant for sirens, for tornado sirens, storm alerts, things of that sort. The only one that's in the city of Demorest is at Piedmont University, and it does not work. So, we have put together 2 grants in collaboration between the city and Piedmont. And I turned those in on Monday to GMA, and I got confirmation they received them this morning, and they are underwriting those as we speak. The reason we did 2 grants, one is to replace the existing siren is $40,000, and to add about 6 more locations is $350,000. So we are put those in 2 different categories. So at least if there's a smaller grant, we can go ahead and grab that grant for putting at least one back in to the city limits. So there'll be more time. She said from the time you turn in your grant, it could take the process 12 to 24 months. So, but once she goes through it, the lady told me, and underwrites it, it can go around from there. And this is something we want to send to our senator's office also to see what we can come up with through FEMA as part of this too. So it's a long, tedious process for roughly $400,000. But again, it's another joint project between the city and the university. This time last year, we approved the city participating in Georgia Cities Week. That's the April 21st to the 27th, so roughly the same time. And if y'all are good with that, we will fill out the paperwork to put this in the GMA that we want to participate. And we'll be putting those ideas together to do something like we did last year with the different schools and touch a truck program. Hopefully we'll get rained out this year. So we'll have more information coming on that. Thomas, I have for you the easement signed from Piedmont for the sewer easement with Hazel Creek.
That's been recorded.
Sir?
It's been recorded.
Oh, no,
the one you emailed to me, we can record.
And Brian is working with Ms. Wilkie on the water line easement. Because it does appear that Vertical Earth is not going to give us a clear letter to not move our water line, because they're not going to be using it, but in case they have to use it, they can't give it all clear letter. So we will be getting that water easement also, and Brian will be moving those lines. We had hoped we could save that money, because he's got most of the material, so there's no real cost other than labor and that. But that way we'll have 2 lines done. March 23rd, we will have our city retreat at EMI's office in Alto. And as y'all know, it's a 9 to 5 all day. Fletcher and I worked yesterday on the agendas part of it. Fletcher and Brian will probably have the first 2 hours going over water and sewer, Brian's long-term, short-term goals, things of that sort. And then I have Alan Burton coming at 11 to talk about financials year-end, financials we always look at when we get the information, some little buzzwords to look and things of that sort. And then Thomas will have a section, obviously on the planning with the land ordinance, but also I wanted to hit some highlights of the charter and then go over some do's and don'ts of mayor and council so that we can kind of keep that training going with that. And then that afternoon, we'll have police and fire go over their items and then we'll go over some ideas of other things from y'all I brought up. And if we run out of time, we can always have another retreat. Typically, if you can get this done in a day and a half, but we're trying to get it all in a day, so it's going to be a full meeting, so please come prepared. I'm happy to say that the leases with Jamie, the subleasing with Farmhouse will be completed tomorrow. Jamie's is 100%, hell, Jude's is 100% completed, and we even had on those 2 subleases, we even added Piedmont in there so that they're aware of our leasing. And I discussed all the changes with Farmhouse and they were okay with that. And so we will have the left side of upstairs to lease as commercial office, something to that degree. Just it will not be residential. We've talked about the Tacoma water rate. Basically, we met with Fletcher and Brian last week. There's a whole zone that water goes to, a certain zone of our plan. And so Fletcher is going to be working on identifying that zone, and that's who that water rate increase will affect there because of Tacoma raising our water rates. Talking about the water treatment center, we are operating within our permits, and the same thing with our drinking water system. The other thing we're going to go over during Fletcher's time is this monthly operational summary sheet that gives different reporting. And I just want everybody, when you see this, I can show you this is what this means, and you can go ahead and have a review of that to understand that part. Our water department had emergency locates of 191 locates, 93 work orders, 17 leaks, and they said 9 new meters. And those meters cost $3,015. And so that's pretty nice there. And the biggest part is, this is my favorite part, we sold 62 million gallons of water. 49 million from Baldwin, 5.6 million from Tacoma, and 7.1 million from our Mize well. And we're actually, we had a long meeting, myself and Brian, last week with Tacoma, and they're looking at, they want us to use more of our water from them, and I said, look, part of it comes down to the cost, from your cost into what Baldwin is charging, so we're going to work on some of those things, and that's where this zone is going to come into play, so you'll hear more about that during our retreat. Brian, they had emergency calls of 11 and 911, 5 sewer calls, and Greg and his guys picked up 216 loads of street leaves and brush. So they stay pretty busy with that. Our police for January had 239 calls, 6 domestic, 2 disturbance at the ER, 9 traffic accidents, 34 traffic stops, and issued 15 citations, 5 incident reports, and the officers attended 80 hours of training in that month. All right, we're going to page 1 of your financials. Again, this is for month ending January 31st, 2024.
cash got tight because we were finalizing a lot of things and finishing up from the park, restrooms, and pavilion. And so, we had some lower cash numbers, but we started building those back up, as you can see there on the right-hand side. And again, when we use some of that cash in paying for those restrooms, you know, I like to brag about our unrestricted number of months of liquidity. Unfortunately, it did drop. And that's something we've been working on, is building those cash reserves back. If you go to the bond payments on page 2, in debt service, you can see in that middle column at the top, that's the amount of debt service that's for the whole 12 months right there. And on the right-hand side, that's the amount we pay each month. And so that's showing $63,000 in the GFA loans and the bond payments for that first month. And that's what every month is going to be. The bottom page below, you'll see under the notes payable, under the emergency one pumper paid annually, that check, John and I signed today, that's an annual payment. This is the third payment of 5 at $94,460 for that ladder truck. So that will go out in the mail tomorrow. So that just breaks out the debt for the annual payment of $46,000 for the police, and then the DDA payment of basically $8,000 for this building. When you go to page 3, and you can look at the revenues under the general fund, you see what taxes. We collected right at $167,000 in property tax in the month of January. So as you look at the general fund column there, that shows you every bit of the income. Then you can see in the SPLOST, roughly $31,000 came in SPLOST dollars. And then you can see your budget numbers of how they look, and that's what you keep adding to each month as we go through that part. And we go to page 4. This is the same page, but it also tells you percent remaining on the far right-hand side. You can see under taxes, we've got 52% still to collect.
That was at the end of January.
That's at the end of January. They will do February 1st. So you can see how these numbers play out all the way down through that. Operating revenues for the water and sewer is $460,000 with a total operating expense of $350 and a net operating of $110 for the month.
What is the one on the police and courts?
So which one you're asking? 156%. Police and courts, they collected $68,000. I'm sorry, under expenditures here. I ain't gonna have to get back with Casey and I are gonna have to look at that. I see what you're saying. It says it's 156% of the remaining there. So thank you for.
Yes, sir.
And then going to page 7 will be our SPLOST dollars. You're going to see our on our back on our cash, we're showing in our SPLOST account $410,000. We have written several big checks at Higgins Construction of Hazel Creek, so we've probably spent roughly $300,000 to them. That's why you're seeing that SPLOST dollar come down. And out of that 410, you're gonna see 94,000 come out next week for the fire trucks. So the SPLOST dollars is coming down, and we've got a $37,000 payment in this week's accounts payable to be also road payments that he did. And then after this, we'll be using the ARPA money to pay water and sewer. We've got roughly $441,000 in that account. Because once we finish, probably the next 30, 60 days, D will finish Hazel Creek. And then we've got the sewer bore later this year. And that's 535,000. So there's some numbers we'll have to play with in there. So, but with that being said, I can end my city manager's report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? All right, no questions. Thanks, Mark. And lastly is appearance and public comments again. Anybody like to add anything that we talked about tonight? All right. Do we have any other reasons to go back into executive session? Anybody else?
Yep, yes, sir.
All right. We just need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir. A second? All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
All right, very good. Thanks, guys.